First recipe we're going to make is something really useful. It's going to save you a lot of money. It's extremely helpful to know how to do this on your own, and it's really, really simple, and that's how to make your own nut milk or seed milk. I mentioned this earlier, but I'll talk about it again here. We always soak our nuts and seeds before we use them. That's pretty much everything except really hemp seed. When you soak nuts or seeds, you just want to put them in a jar, and I like to use glass or stainless steel, a bowl, a jar, whatever you have, and you just want to cover them with plenty of water so that they don't absorb all of it and they're just dry in the bowl. You want to use whatever water you're using for drinking, because it's going to go into the food. And generally it's about an 8 to 10 hour time period. It's not an exacting process, so I usually say, do it in the morning before you go to work, and then when you come home they'll be ready to use, or do it overnight. The next morning they'll be ready to use. If you leave them in the water longer than that, that's okay. You do want to soak at room temperature. So 8 to 10 hours soak, then you're going to rinse. And all that means is you take a colander or a strainer of some sort, dump everything into it, rinse them off with your sink water, and now they're ready to go. And that's what I've done with these here. These have been soaked. The thing about the wet nuts now is that there's water in the picture. They will spoil much more quickly than, of course, if they were dry. So you're going to use them in your recipe or store them in the refrigerator after that initial soak. 4 can be up to a week. It depends on the nuts. The fattier ones usually spoil more quickly. For now, we're going to make an almond milk, and I'll show you another one too, because you can do it with any nut or seed. They're all going to have their own flavors, of course. This is a popular one with almonds because it's a really gentle, neutral flavor that people like. We're going to do about half, I think the recipe here, we'll do about half a cup of soaked almonds. Actually, it'll be a little more because we're measuring them dry. So again, this is you've got proportions on your recipe to follow, but if you want it creamier, put less water. If you want it waterier, put more water. It's not, wrong or right in any kind of way. It's just how you'd like your almond milk. Generally, it's about a 3 to 4 times the ratio of nuts you put to water. So we're going to put, at least a cup and a half of water here. Do a little bit more. This will be a pretty creamy one. I usually do it by eye. I don't measure, and once you've done it a few times, it's easy to do that. So this is the basic nut milk. You can, got an escapee there. You can flavor this, put a little vanilla in, a little stevia if you want it to be slightly sweet. Stevia is an herb that can be used to sweeten, but it doesn't actually have any sugar or affect blood sugar in a negative way at all. It's okay for those who are avoiding fruit for health reasons or any kind of sugar in any way. And that's going to be your sweetener, your go-to sweetener when you want something that tastes kind of sweet but doesn't have a negative effect at all in terms of sugars. It's not actually adding any sugar. It's just an herb, a plant that tastes very, very sweet. With stevia, a little goes a long way. This is a bottle of a liquid that you can get the plants actually and add a little bit of a leaf to your mixtures. You can get the powdered variety of the plant and just blend or mix the powders in. I find with liquids, of course, the liquid mixes a little more easily in, and this is a clear one, so it doesn't affect the color of the food at all. So it's kind of nice from a culinary standpoint. You always want to just taste, do it to taste, put a tiny bit in. I'll put a drop in this, a few drops in this. What you would use this for is just to drink as another beverage, another source of easy to digest calories throughout the day. If you're trying to avoid losing weight or put some weight on, it can be a great thing to have in between meals. You can use it on a nutty kind of cereal if you're going to have that in the morning. You can use it as a base for a soup or a dressing that's going to be creamy. So it's got a lot of different uses there. Kids love to drink it like this too. But all we're going to do here is blend, and we're going to leave it on for maybe 30 seconds or so, just so that we can really get everything chopped up really well. And then we're going to strain it through something like this. You could go a little longer if you wanted to get everything really chopped up more, but So you can see it looks very white and milky now. And hemp is so creamy that, and the amount of fiber that's left is so little that some people will just blend it up and leave it that way. But if you want it to be really smooth, no chunks at all in there, it helps to strain it out. And the meal, what we call the pulp that's left, is actually really useful for other things. So I'm straining it through here. And these are called nut milk or sprout bags. They're really handy, inexpensive, makes straining it a lot easier than using like a mesh strainer and trying to actually push this through and get all the liquid out. Here you can just squeeze it, and it's quite easy. They're great for sprouting too. You can soak your seeds in them and then just pull them out of the water, rinse them off, and like hang them by the sink after you rinse them. So you squeeze as much as you can out. And then what you've got left here, if you have a dehydrator, it's really useful to spread that out on a tray and dry it, and then just keep storing it. You'll accumulate some over time, and this powdered up makes a great base for cookies and pie crusts. You can use it in pâtés and crackers. So that's one of the reasons I like it strained, other than the fact that I like it smooth, is this almond pulp or meal is really handy for other stuff. It's kind of like your flour, so to speak. So I will just put it in the dehydrator, and then just when it's done, I'll just add it to the bag. I'll have a bag building up over time, and then when I have enough, I'll make something else with it. So now we've got a really nice creamy white beverage here. You can store it now of course, in refrigeration, and it will usually last at least 3 or 4 days. Can depend on how cold it is in there. It's definitely more perishable than like when you would buy in the store, of course, because it is raw. It's got the active enzymes, and enzymes are what creates spoilage, which is a natural part of things. So these are going to spoil faster, but if you're going to save a lot of money making it your own way, and it's fresh and it's raw and it's alive. So